What's up? This is Steve Camaro with a Steve Camaro original. This post-election piece is entitled The Absurdity of Threatening Democracy and the Lunacy of Hypocrisy. The absurdity of the election season. Humans going to the polls with crazy neural circuitry firing off between their ears, leading to a heightened states of angst and anxiety. They believe their existence teeters on a color leaning one way or another. Their brains scrambled into submission with weeks' worth of corny campaign advertising, screaming talking head threatening, manipulative video editing, and silly goose YouTube commentating. The crosswires in the noggin are sparked by propaganda, which causes the blood boiling. It's a recipe the establishment has perfected, and for some reason, the citizenry has not rejected, continuing to willfully consume, ingesting the artificial ingredients as the mental aches and pains loom. In this case, it has been the repeated mantra, the trendy go-to line to use as propaganda. Vote for me, because if you don't, it's a threat towards democracy. Of course, whatever the systems of establishment are telling you, it's most likely that the exact opposite is true. A threat to democracy.
We will shut you down, we will cite you, and if we need to, we will arrest you, and we will take you to jail.
And naturally, here, the opposite is true, as those in blue spent the last several years threatening citizens, mandating segregation if you didn't conform medically, demonizing those who didn't vote their way politically, and the plethora of non-stop censoring and politically correcting, basically everything that goes against an actual free democracy. Meanwhile, their cities and states are physical proof that their actions and policies are hypocritically the opposite of what they preach. Total phonies. And it's the actual homeless, poor, and working class people who have concluded, logically, that these talking blue heads do not give a shit about them, truly. As an off-the-record official once said in regards to the repeated shutdowns of outdoor eateries, paraphrased, we know that there is no evidence to suggest shutting down these places will do anything at all. Honestly, it's really just all about optics. Ah, yes, optics. Making it look like we are doing something, when in reality we know that that something we're doing isn't actually doing anything, except optically making us look virtuous at the expense of people suffering and barely surviving. Well, the optical illusion sputters along. The shining elevator has opened, and it was not the red tsunami of hope for normalcy, nor was it a massive wave of pukey, pretentiously fear-mongery hypocrisy, that shade of blue which the left has turned into. It was a modest red middle finger created in part by the legions of former leftists, finally fed up with and refusing no longer to put up with the blue woke hysteria mindfuckery and the conforming to their trendy tomfoolery, empty morality, and inflated economy. The drivel of progressive wokesters remain, their brains hatefully frazzled, their guts depleted and shallow, their fear-mongering false delusions held at bay. Now they can resume their civilization of decay. Yet the absence of the massive wave of red is a relief, as the country won't have to ready itself for the blame game temper tantrum that would have so predictably been instigated, as it was after the Orange Man was inaugurated. Leftist violent rioting destruction, followed by all the hysterical prediction that never came to fruition, and then their plots to fictitiously blame it all on the Russian. Then came the COVID temper tantrums, in which their fascist hysterical behavior was so bad that they are now, finally, apologizing for it and requesting they be given a pandemic amnesty. Now it's a more modest strike three, a red bird flip-off to their reality. Could it someday be no more children's hour of drag queen story? Could it someday be kids being allowed to be kids without the silly adult indoctrination based on what's trendy? Could it someday be adults being adults without silly childish rules by authoritarians who believe in tyranny? And maybe, someday perhaps, it will finally be back to woke, no longer being a trendy, phony, virtue-signally identity, but to truly being what it should be, realizing that awakening means questioning the true democracy threatening, which is that of global elitism and money exchanging, corporate controlling and social engineering, thought suppression and true tyrannical governing. Could it someday be the awakening replacing the wokening? Maybe someday indeed, independent thought can emerge as positive truth-telling prosperity from the leftover blue crumbs of hive mind herd mentality. Maybe someday it could be. Ooh. That was Steve Camaro reading Steve Camaro. Be safe, be secure, be free. Yeah. And be happy. Be happy.